You see this right here? Notice of disclaimer. I didn't see this nowhere in the paperwork breakdown, but we gonna get to this right here. The mayor's office of gang reduction and youth development reserves the right to modify and update policies and procedures relating to the intervention scope of work. Any changes to the intervention scope of work will be addressed through communication with contracted agency, executive directors, or assigned personnel staff. Contractor and its personnel, volunteers, and subcontractors are not agents of the City of Los Angeles Police Department, and their work does not involve any aspect of the criminal investigation. We all got the same paperwork.
All right, so I'm sure that's a mouthful, but we're going to talk about, there's been different videos up talking about whether Big U and other prominent community leaders in LA, if they are paid informants for the city of LA. And normally I would not get involved in these types of videos, but I'm going to play a clip for you that I feel gives me the jurisdiction to talk about that. And then after I play this video, then we will talk about why I feel like this is jurisdiction, and then we'll show some other clips from this really good interview.
We can work amongst each other, just like the jailhouse run itself. The police don't run it, the inmates do everything.
Right.
All right, no, I just wanted to clear that up because people be spreading propaganda. That's a.
I'm glad.
Now, it's that clip that justifies why I feel like I'm comfortable enough to do this video. Now, this video, and I'm going to show clips from it, it's Skip Townsend that went on, I think it's Street TV, to kind of talk about and address a lot of the rumors and what they perceive to be misinformation, saying that himself and Big U and other people are paid informants. Now, when I was listening to the video, when Skip Townsend was talking, I was just like, man, this sounds like prison politics. And, you know, you can go watch the video for yourself to see. I'll show some clips. But I can definitely say that this plan that they have with this agreement between the city and with the different community leaders, it is somewhat a genius idea. And people may not know this, but prison politics, because obviously I work in a prison, inmate politics, it's a two-edged sword. It can be a curse for us and it can be a blessing. And I can tell you, you don't always have to write everything up. You know what I'm saying? If an inmate is kind of getting out of bounds, whatever, you don't always have to resort to trying to give them an incident report or mark them up. You can handle things in-house. You can resolve things, which is in policy, so it's nothing illegal, nothing like that. But I've just learned over the years. Now, in my rookie years, you couldn't have paid me to understand it because I didn't have the mindset. But now I know. And I can say there's been a lot of times that prison politics, as far as how the inmates govern themselves and how they, I hate to use the word police themselves, but that's what it is. They're monitoring each other and they're checking each other. But there's been a lot of times where the inmate internal politics, it's caused a lot of issues to just go away and to be squashed. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where war happens and there's nothing you can do about it. But let me play this clip for you so you can get a little further understanding, and then I'll provide commentary.
And everybody talking about the police, this police, that. It came from the mayor's office. It came
my
from
bad.
Mayor
Let me
Antonio
rewind. Y'all know I'm still working on my
the other party name, but he keep trying to throw snitch allegations on Big U. So based on, you know, he got developing options, is that's what they call it? Yeah. Developing options or whatever. So could you explain to people how that go more so? Cause you more.
So the city contract, man, everybody talking about the police, this police, that. It came from the mayor's office. It came from Mayor Antonio Vergosa, and then it went to Eric Garcetti, and now Karen Bass is really slowly shutting it down. But it never had nothing to do with snitching. You don't tell. Somebody has said, oh, you get a phone from a sergeant. None of that. What it is, the city gives the agency $500,000 a year to reduce violence. So they got to hire 5 intervention workers, 2 case managers. The agency buys the phone. They give them a budget to buy phones. It don't come from a police station or nothing like that. They go out and buy their own phones and give it to the people that work with them. And their main job is just being proactive. So because developing options is in the 60s, well, mainly what they do is Slauson and Crenshaw. What they do is Crenshaw High School. anything that happened in the overhills. All that, what they do is they respond to shootings, or if somebody say it's a fight at the school, or, every time I call and say, well, I want y'all to sit down with somebody. Can we sit down? They always come through and sit down. So it's never.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little quick story, right? Because again, I think this is somewhat a genius idea, trying to apply the way the prisons operate and using that on the streets. Now, I remember I went home one day and then I came to work the next day, and pretty much everybody on my work detail, they got fired. And I try to keep my work detail diverse, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to be fair for all the races and the cars. But I went into work and I found out everybody got fired. I'm the supervisor of the work detail. I didn't know anything. And it was over some petty stuff. So with that, certain cars or certain races kept their jobs and other races didn't. So naturally, that caused like a lot of racial tension, and things were close to popping off. So because, I've learned from the OGs over the years, and I've learned, hey, you don't always got to write stuff off, because some people might think the key to that is, we're going to lock down the institution and we're going to investigate everything, and you're not going to do this on my watch. All that stuff ain't necessary, right? Sometimes the prison politics, it comes to our advantage. So it did in this case. So I went to the different leaders, for those different cars that was involved in the situation. And I was just like, hey, I didn't have nothing to do with this. I just came into work and I found this out. But, give me some time. I'll try to work this situation out. But I need y'all to talk amongst each other. And I went to each one of them and I let them know, spread the word to your people. I didn't have nothing to do with this. I'm going to try to rectify this and make it right. And I was able to, I won't say 100% make it right, but I was able to get it enough right to where it seemed like it was fair and equitable, and it was able to keep the peace. Now, I had to go talk to, the people that had influence, and we were able to have a little quick sit down and resolve things. They went to their people, they let them know what was going on, and they came back to me, and we were able to work something out. Now, in my rookie years, I wouldn't have been thinking about doing that. But I've learned over the years, it's stuff like that you want to do, because you want to work smarter and not harder. And I do feel like with this program, now I don't know the ins and outs, but I get the premise based on the video where Skip Townsend was talking. And in my opinion, it's applying the prison politics. If something is going on in the streets, you don't always have to call the police, or not them call, but you don't always have to have the police involved. Sometimes you can do it within the community. You can fix the issues that's going on, allow them to self-correct without having to have official intervention. Now, I will take it a step further, and I will say, and it's not even about gangs or anything, but I do feel like the Black community in general needs to take hold to that philosophy, because if you're waiting on the government, and I'm just going to keep this real, right? Yeah, I'm a CO, I work in the prison, whatever. But Black folks, we got to stop waiting on the government to try to do things for us, to think that they're going to just solve our problems, because they're not going to do it. So if we're going to want change, or if we need change, it's going to have to come from within. It's going to have to be the I know that term sounds bad, but the community policing is going to have to be the accountability from within the community. Yes, the police, they do bad things, and you want accountability for that. But on the same token, within the Black community, you got to be able to take care of things in-house, if that makes sense. And again, I'm not talking about anything illegal, anything immoral, nothing like that. But let me move on to the next video, because it was a very good interview that was done.
But the one thing they're not doing is telling anybody, not telling no police who's selling weed or who got the guns and nothing like that. That's not the case. Even when the little boy got killed on 74th and Western, I was out there with him 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And while they consoling the family, while they sitting there doing rumor control, the first thing people want to say is, oh, these dudes did it. These dudes did it. And that's the main part of it, is shutting down that rumor, to getting the people to stop just saying what you feel. Even I had to work on when Mousy and Justin got killed, because the first thing people were saying is, oh, these dudes over here off of Slauson did it. So I'm like, man, what are y'all talking about? But it's trolls, people from out of town, people from.
All right, so now he brings up another good point, and this is prison politics stuff. So there's going to be times, right? Let's say you might have fights that break out, and the fights, they break out because of misinformation. So I know there's a lot of people that they feel like, oh, well, when bad things happen, the inmates should be locked down forever. Don't let them come out, things of that nature. But one thing, again, in my rookie years, I would not be able to understand this. But now, as I got older and have some time in, I get it. You need to have the inmates communicate within themselves. Now, I'm not talking about communicate in terms of how to sell drugs and how to do all that. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you want to allow the different prison cars to have, and the different inmates to be able to communicate in terms of, okay, this is what happened or this didn't happen, because a lot of things can be squashed. So let's just say, for instance, you might have one prison unit over here where they upset at, some other car in another unit. And in their minds, they're like, it's going to be on site when we see them. And all the time, they got these on-site orders based on bad info. But if you allow these different people to have a conversation, then it can squash a lot of things. And again, I know this might sound crazy, but prison, it is a totally different environment. And I'm not going to be talking about any type of illegal stuff or stuff against policy. Whenever there's like major things that go on, there are gang leaders that are given the opportunity to talk to their people. And I'm going to give you another quick story, and then we'll go on to the next video. I remember there was a lockdown that was ordered. I don't even remember what the lockdown was for, but this particular car, I won't say the car's name, but this particular car, they have a strict rule that when you come out of your cell, you have to have on your boots. You have to. There's just no way around it. But with this lockdown, something that we were doing, I don't know if it was interviews. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I can't remember. But I just know that this particular car, all the people in that unit, they was like, we're not coming out because of our rule. So you know what we had to do? And I put this on everything that I love. We had one of the gang investigators. They grabbed one of the people that had juice, and he had the inmate go to the other unit and walk around the unit to tell the people in that particular car, hey, it's cool for this time. Just follow it. I know we have our regulations. Just do this for this time and then go back. Now, I know that's going to sound crazy, right? Because people that never been to prison or they never worked in a prison, they think that, we have this absolute authority as officers and they're going to do everything that we say. But I can tell you flat out, if an inmate had to choose between listening to what a shot caller says or listening to what an officer says, they're going to follow the shot caller, because the shot caller is the one that can order them to get stabbed up or get killed or all them different things, right? So there is a need for communication to squash things, the prison politics. It does help things. And it's weird because you have to coexist in that environment. We are working in a community where they live 24/7. So obviously we're in their community. They have their own rules. And sometimes the prison politics, it does come to our advantage. So I'm going to play this next clip for you.
On the city contract is make sure there's no retaliation. That's the main job. If somebody gets shot, they got to surround that family. They got to go to the hospital. They got to do whatever is possible to make sure ain't nobody going back and forth shooting. That's the job.
I wanted you to just clear that up because I know, Big, you ain't no snitch. You know what I'm saying? But the person with the loudest voice and, you know what I mean, that's more out there and they hear them more often, they go wrong with, or if the lie more entertaining, they don't care about the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how I had to clear that. And then sometimes I pull out my phone. I said, man, I'm on payroll with Skip and Second Call, and I clock into work from my phone, and it's different. I'm clocking in and saying what I'm doing exactly. Mm-hmm. So if it's a funeral in the Inglewood families and somebody from Mansfield Gangsta Crib got a funeral over there, Skip might hear me be like, man, look. The Mansfield, they got a funeral at a church in the families, man. Hey, just go over there, just kick it and just make sure like your homies don't come over there tripping.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
One of the 60s died. I think he had a heart attack or something. And they had the funeral on the street that I grew up on.
In the HAs?
In the 20s.
Oh yeah.
And they called me and said, Skip, we coming. And I got like 5, 6 20s to come with me, and we stood outside. And the 60s had a big old funeral, blew everything.
So- so-
in the
so-
20s, that's the way it's supposed to be.
So you saying, okay, you would call, well, I'm considered an ambassador. You call one of your ambassadors. We ain't calling the police. We calling within us, because we got Englewood Family Swans, Pookie Twins from 9-0, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can work amongst each other, just like the jailhouse run itself. The police don't run it. The inmates do everything.
Right.
All right, no, I just wanted to clear that up, because people be spreading propaganda. That's a.
But it's
Well, I'm
those
glad
people
that
that don't know.
you both just explained that, because that was actually new information for me. So like that's dope. Actually, that's like having policing within your own community, but not policing necessarily. It's just
So let me-
protecting ourselves.
All right, so that clip you just seen where I said this is my jurisdiction to talk about it, that clip happened at the end. So prior to getting to that video, when Skip was talking, I was like, man, this is like prison politics stuff. But I can definitely say, I definitely see the value in that. And I can definitely say, even with the inmates, they're not telling on each other. They're not snitching on each other. It's just there's times where the prison administration and the prison officers, they allow the inmates to try to self-correct. They allow them to work out their stuff. Now, of course, people are not going to understand that never been an inmate or doesn't, or they've never worked in a prison, or if they do, they're still young and naive. But I'm telling you, man, there are plenty of times where the prison administration allows gang leaders to have conversations to try to squash things out for the greater good. Because a lot of times things can be resolved by talking things out. And you can only learn that stuff over time and over the years. But I'm going to tell you this last story about how you can handle things in-house and how you can resolve things. Now, this was during COVID. Excuse me. And so COVID, it was really bad. And people were being quarantined, all this and that. So there was a bus that came in. So they had to go into this unit. They were being quarantined. Now, I was working overtime, right? So I'm not even the regular in that unit, but I went in there to work overtime. And so there was a few inmates that came up to me, and they was like, hey, we don't have any clothes. You know, we've been in the same clothes for the past 7, 8, 9 days. And I checked into it and I found out it was true. Now, I could have been like, hey, well, you know, real convicts, you know, they know how to wash their clothes in the toilet and keep it pushing. But I'm not going to do that because they're human beings. So, and then I also found out that they didn't have any hygiene. And so what I did right now in my rookie year, I would have probably called the sergeant and said, hey, sergeant, what do I need to do in this situation, man? You know, we got an issue, because some of the inmates, they were upset, and rightfully so. You shouldn't be, you know, in your same uniform that you came off the bus in for 7, 8, or 9 days. So what I did, I said, okay, I'm gonna break this up by cars. So there were several different cars in there. And so I said, none of y'all have hygiene. Some of them did, but a lot of them didn't. So what I did, I hit up the officer in another unit. You know, he was an officer that had time in. And so I said, hey, man, I was going to holler at your inmates real quick to see if any of their people, because that unit, it was an open unit. So I was like, hey, you know, let me see if they have any hygiene. So what I did was I went to the unit next door, and I was like, hey, I'm working next door on my overtime. Some of y'all's people, they, you know, been in there for 7, 8 days. They don't have no clean clothes, and they don't have any toiletries or any hygiene. So I said, if y'all can donate some stuff to your people, you got my word that I'm going to give it to them. So they had their little meeting for a second, and they said, I got you. You know, we know who you are. You know, we respect you. So I was like, bet, I appreciate that. So the different cars, you know, the Southsiders, the white boys, you know, the different black cars, even the others, right? They put their little care package together. You know, of course, I looked at it, examined it real quick before I gave it to them. But they were just like, just make sure it goes to our people. And I was like, hey, man, I ain't going to violate y'all. You got it. So I took the hygiene from them. So I told the blacks, hey, come over here. I gave them the little bag of their stuff. I had the white boys come over, the Southsiders, and I gave them their stuff. Now, again, in my rookie year, I would have been lost. I would have been calling the sergeant, hey, sergeant, what do I do, man? I'm in a pickle. What do I do? But over time, you learn, you know what I'm saying, how to handle things in-house. So I was able to quell the situation, because if I would have said, man, y'all ain't getting nothing, you can wait, I don't care, I'm just here to make overtime, that would have made things a lot difficult. But I went over to the next door unit that was an open unit, and I said, hey, man, I got some of y'all people from your different cars. Can y'all give them some hygiene just to at least hold them over? So once we broke everything down, I had one of the inmates from each group. We took the stuff out of the bag after I examined it. You know, we put it on the tables, and I said, okay, y'all go ahead and divvy it up how you want, because I wasn't the regular in there. I was just doing overtime. So I didn't know who needed what or whatever. I just let them handle it. You know what I'm saying? And they divvied it up evenly. So, you know, all those people, they had deodorant, they had some soap, they had some toothpaste. This one South Party is like, hey, ACO, I need to get some stuff for my hair. And I was like, man, if you don't knock it off. But I went over, I said, hey, man, one of your people wants some hair gel. And then so they gave it to him, and it was cool, right? But I was able to quell a situation that really could have got bad. You know what I'm saying? It really could have got bad. But you learn how to handle things informally to reach the same end. Because in a perfect, and I want to say that was, I think I was doing it on a Friday. So they was going to be out of luck until, you know what I'm saying, the next week. But I was able to give them some stuff to hold them over, so that way they can do their hygiene, they can brush their teeth, you know, all that stuff. And I'm sure some of them probably with the soap, the bars of soap or whatever, they were probably able to wash their clothes in the toilet, because you can't, how you going to wash your clothes in the toilet without any soap? Now, for some people that's never been in prison, or they never worked in the prison, that sounds crazy. How in the world can you wash clothes in a toilet? But trust me when I tell you, usually, you know, now you got some dirty inmates that don't, you know, keep clean, but usually those toilets are clean. And I mean, they are pristine clean, and they're able to do a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying, in the toilet or whatever, especially with washing their clothes if they have to. But that's all I got for this video. In my opinion, again, I'm not going to say whether or not these people are rats or they're no good. That ain't my place. One thing I can say is I think it is an ingenious idea, because we know that interactions with the Black community and even the brown community concerning law enforcement, it's inherently edgy. You know what I'm saying? There's this hostility that's just, it comes with the package. So if there's a program that's available that could potentially reduce those tensions, and if there's a program available that can allow the people within the community to self-correct and without having to, you know, have the police come out, which generates a report number and generates an investigation, all those different things, if you're able to find a way to keep peace in those different ways, I mean, that's really, really good. But like I said, when I was watching the video, I was like, man, this sounds just like work, but it's genius. And as we know, you know, Big U and some other people, they've done time in prison. But that it's, in my opinion, that is definitely an ingenious plan. And I hope it doesn't get shut down, because there is significant value in that, because you definitely want to reduce the official interactions that police have, you know, with communities that just inherently have beef. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully there was some type of edification out of this. Let me also add in the disclaimer that I am not trying to formally endorse what they're doing. In my position, I'm an idiot. I'm just doing this little thing. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I don't speak for any government agency in whole or in part. I am just talking on my own as an absolute idiot that's in law school. So again, hopefully you got some edification out this. And until the next one, holla at your boy.